Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in our communities. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there? And oh my goodness, here we are. We are in season 5. We are now already in February, and I have another special guest. Today, I'm getting to talk to Shannon Hayes. She's the Director of People Operations at Velvet Taco. She's certified with their SHRM-CP, her PHR, and I'm sure there's other certifications as well. Hey, Shannon, it's so good to have you on the show. How you doing?
Hi, Bruce. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, whenever I first talked to you, and by the way, we were introduced by a mutual friend, Beth G. Isn't she terrific?
She's phenomenal. Yes, she's a dynamic person. She has so much energy. It's contagious.
Yeah, well, you can catch Beth on episode 100. She helped me do our celebrating 100 episodes of Life in the Leadership Lane. But whenever I talked to you, I mentioned to you I had not tried Velvet Taco. There's probably a lot of people out there that are like, "Are you kidding me? It's incredible." And so this weekend, my wife and I tried Velvet Taco. We went over to the Frisco store. And I had my wife had the fish and chips, and I had the rotisserie chicken and the grilled salmon, and it was phenomenal. I'm like ready to
Right.
go back. Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite?
When I first started, my favorite was the spicy tikka, which is a fan favorite.
Mm,
And now I really like the Mexicali shrimp. We've
mm.
got so many different ones. It's hard to just, select one. So they take turns.
Well, and I had a great experience. The manager came over and talked to us, and they wanted to know how. We also got I think it's called Elodie and chips.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, it was fantastic. So, oh my gosh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about that. I am so excited about getting into this conversation today. Hey, for those who don't know Velvet Taco, would you just share a brief highlight of who Velvet Taco is and maybe how you serve your customers?
We are a scratch kitchen, which means we make everything in-house, use the freshest ingredients. We've got over 20 regular tacos that are on the menu. In addition, we feature a WTF weekly taco feature every week, which is really, really awesome. So a great opportunity to try out some different tacos. We've got over 44 restaurants. We had a record year last year. We opened 12 in 2023, and we're slated to open 6 in 2024. We're in Texas, Houston, Austin, DFW, Fort Lauderdale, North Carolina, Chicago, Oklahoma, Nashville, and Atlanta. So we are growing.
Doesn't it feel good to work for a growth-oriented organization? We're the same way. We've acquired companies in our last few years, and it just feels good, doesn't it?
It does, it does. There's great people in it, and it really helps when you like the product too.
Yeah, and I like how you said the taco of the week, what'd you call it? The
WTF.
the WTF. Yes. I think there
Yeah,
was a sweet potato on the WTF. I
there
can't remember.
was.
Oh my goodness. Fantastic. Hey, well, I'm excited to have this conversation, but as we get started here, I would love to hear the Shannon Hayes story. Like, where did you grow up? And how in the world did you get into HR and leadership?
I grew up in the Kansas City area, so that makes me a Midwest girl.
Hmm.
It also means I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and that I'm stuck in cowboy country.
Oh my
But
goodness. I've been to Kansas City, by the way. I went for a Big 12
yeah,
championship, and it was the
okay.
coldest football game I've ever been to in my entire life. It was so cold.
Yeah. Yep, it does get very cold there. Yes. But yeah, I grew up in the Kansas City area. My dad worked for the railroad, so we moved around a lot. But by the time I was in third grade, we kind of made Kansas City home, and that's where I stayed until I graduated high school. My mom was a nurse, and they had 3 daughters, so I'm the middle child, so I definitely have the middle child syndrome. My parents divorced when I was a teenager, and I think that, both of them instilled a strong work ethic in me. I got my first job, ironically, in the restaurant industry at McDonald's. I think they say 1 in 3 people has worked at McDonald's in their lifetime.
Oh, wow.
And I was a counter server. I made $3.85 an hour, and I was so excited when I got promoted to the drive-through and could wear the headset. That was like a big deal. But after doing that, I landed my first HR role at H&R Block World Headquarters in Kansas City. That was in 1999. And I started as an HR assistant. At the time, there was a female head of HR, and I just remember thinking that, she was a boss to be working in a male dominated industry, tax services, and I wanted to be like her. Her name was Stephanie.
Mm.
And the rest that they say, is history. My older sister also works in HR, so she will tell you that I chose to follow in her footsteps, but that's absolutely not true. I've held a lot of HR roles throughout my career. I worked at Boston Market Corporation. That was back when McDonald's owned them and Chipotle was their sister company before they went public. I started in the benefits department, and then I added compensation to that. And I didn't want to be pigeonholed into just benefits, so I got my certifications, went back to school so I could be a more rounded HR leader.
I love that. I love how you said your sister. Did you say your sister is also in HR?
She is, yeah.
I love that. My brother is also in, so I'm in relocation, as you know, and my brother is also in relocation. And it's so great to have somebody like within your family circle to be able to talk business
Right,
with, isn't it?
for sure, because then they can understand, and you can, there's one thing to tell someone about your day, but there's another thing to tell someone when they really understand about your day.
I love that. That's fantastic. By the way, when someone says, I got so excited about being promoted to the drive-through, I'm like, man, I can like take myself back to that. You're sitting there, you're making less than $5 an hour, but yet you're excited
Yep.
about getting promoted to the drive-through. Like I can tell, like you are a very energized person. Hey, well, let's talk about here you are, you're talking about Stephanie and how you saw something in her, some qualities or something in her that made you want to be like her. I always like to talk about mentors in our journey. I think that's important. Would you share, like, talk a little bit about, yeah, Stephanie, what'd you see in Stephanie? And maybe a couple of others that, I don't know, that you admired and have helped you get to where you are today.
One of the things that I appreciated about Stephanie was, I I mean, I don't want to say I was just an HR assistant, but I mean, I was the first line and point of contact, and I got exposed to a lot of different things. We had an employee relations hotline that I got to check every day, so I got to hear different experiences that employees were going through, and was able to partner with different leaders within the department on those. So really kind of see how those are supposed to be handled. I don't know that I mean, I had no HR experience. It's not oftentimes that people get those kinds of opportunities. So I appreciated being able to have those opportunities. And I think that having a mentor or a team of mentors is helpful for doing that. I've been fortunate enough to have many mentors throughout my career. Sometimes, I didn't even know they were mentors until I go back and reflect and was like, wow, I think they were actually actually helping me. One of my dear and near mentors is Taylor Summer. He took me under his wing early on, and I appreciated. What I appreciated most about him was that he wasn't afraid to call me out.
Mm.
Um, because I can be a tough cookie sometimes, and so I need someone that's going to tell me the hard truth, and he never sugarcoated it. He was a sales leader, and I don't know if you know this, but sales leaders don't like to be told no. And so
I have
working
my
with
hand up.
yeah. So working with Taylor and working with sales leaders, I think helped me be more creative and
Mm,
more of a true business partner because I just took no from my vernacular. I was like, okay,
mm,
well, I'm not going to tell you what I can't do. Let me tell you what I can do.
mm.
And that really came from, building relationships and having those leaders trust you enough to be able to tell you honestly what it is that they want to do because I think they think they're going to get in trouble. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks, when you talk to HR that you're going to get in trouble. And actually our job is to keep you out of trouble. I keep telling them that. So yeah, but that was one of the things I liked about Taylor.
It's fantastic. This is so good. If you are listening right now, you need to be taking notes. This you're going to get a lot out of this. I want to talk about what you said. He shared actually how he would call you out, and I'm curious, like, how did that make you feel? Because I mean, a lot of times when we're called out, like I mean, we want to push back. We don't like that. Like, how'd that make you feel?
You know, we clicked from the beginning. I remember when we were interviewing, he kept going back to it. One of the things he told me was that my job was to repair the relationship with the HR department and the ops department. And he kept referring back to that. So when I would complain about something that ops was
Hmm.
doing, he would always tie it back to that. Remember what I told you in our interview, Shannon, that was one of, and I was like, oh, okay. It kind of just reframed that. And so I was like, okay, he put it into perspective, and you're right, that's what I need to do, and so
Yeah,
I
I
I
love that.
appreciate it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That is so good. Well, here you are. I mean, you talked about like you worked, being promoted through the drive-through line at McDonald's, and then and then you became a, HR coordinator then learned benefits, and then you got your certification. And now here you are, director of people operations. Was there a moment when you like found your lane, when you found your purpose and you said, "I love what I do"?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if I have found my purpose because I think it's constantly changing, but what
Mm,
I can say is that I was working for a company, and I loved the company, and there was a chance that the company was gonna be sold, so much so that the head of HR told all of us we needed to start updating our resumes.
mm,
I was like, "Wow, okay, this is real." I was like, "If I lose my job, what am I gonna do to, make money?" And I just remember thinking that all of my family and friends, and even people that I didn't know when they found out that I worked in HR, the one thing that they would always ask was, "Can you look at my resume? Can you look at my cover letter? Can you, look at my LinkedIn?"
mm,
So I was like, "Okay, well, if I'm gonna have to find a job, this is gonna be my side gig. I'm gonna just help people do that."
mm.
And so I did, and I actually made money on doing that. Luckily, the company didn't go out of business, and so I was like, "Great, I don't need to be having 2 jobs right now." But that kind of put in perspective for me that I really do like helping people,
Mm,
and even now, I'll help people, and obviously I don't charge them, but look at their, resumes and things like that, and I enjoy that.
mm.
I really
I
do. I find it rewarding to help someone elevate themselves,
mm.
and then be able to get a different job because of that.
Yeah, I love how you weren't really like looking for that. Like purpose found you.
Mhm.
And that's a great story. That's an incredible story because, here you are, you're trying to like you're just trying to, serve and get better in your role and everything you're doing. And then all of a sudden you find out, hey, the company I may be losing my job or whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, you like shifted that though. You shifted it from you to others. You're like, "Hey, but I'm gonna help some people along the way because I, have this gift." Where did that come from?
I think that I went to a Catholic school, and so we always served and worked in the community, and so it's
Mm,
just instilled in me something that I do. I always like to give back. One of the things that I did when I was a single mom with my boys, I wanted them to know that, everyone doesn't have it like they do, and we served with, Meals on Wheels for 17 years. We would do it
oh,
every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, and I'm an empty nester now. They're adult and out of the house, and they're continuing that tradition, and I love that I instilled that in them.
that is fantastic. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Hey, let's shift over here to leadership. I always like to ask my guests on the show when someone says, "Hey, Shannon, what is leadership to you?" How would you respond to that?
I would say that leadership is helping someone discover their superpower,
Mm,
because I think everyone has a superpower. Um, and I like to use strength finders. Are you familiar with strength finders?
I am. Yes, I'm a big fan.
Okay. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. So if someone were to ask you to write with your left hand, you could do it, right? I mean, it wouldn't look the same as with your right hand, but you could do it. Um,
I have my pen in my left hand right now, and I'm, like, nervous. Yes,
it
okay, you're right. I could do it, but it wouldn't be the same.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason is that everyone has things that they're innately, good at.
Mhm,
And I like to use strength finders so that I can find out what the people on my team are good at, and then give them projects that will help them excel, because when you feel good and you do good, we all win, you know?
mm.
I don't pretend to know everything. I hire smart people around me so that we can be a well-rounded team.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about your role though. You're director of people operations. Like, what do you enjoy about? Well, first of all, like, what do you do for those who are listening? A lot. There's a big HR community, mobility, a lot of business leaders, but director of people operations. What does that mean?
It's an HR director. For those of you that have been to Velvet Taco, we don't like to do the same thing that everyone else does because 'cause we're a little more cool and hip than
Hmm.
that. So, our HR department is actually called the people department because
Hmm.
everything we do touches people. I have the privilege of leading a team of regional people ops managers,
Hmm.
and they're responsible for finding top talent in our restaurants. So they're all responsible for different regions. They partner with the directors of operations, and they ensure that we've got the best managers running our restaurants.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that, and I love how you support your team. And how you say you're different. By the way, I pulled up Strength Finders because I have I'm sitting here, those of you listening, I'm showing on my phone, Shannon, my Strength Finders, positivity, harmony, developer, arranger, and belief.
Love that.
And
You got
so
some good
anyone
ones.
who has not taken Strength Finders, I want to encourage them to take that. I hadn't talked about that in a long time. So you bringing that up kind of triggered, like, I remember I wanted to see my results. So I think
Uh-huh.
you can buy the book and then they have the code in the book, I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
think they do in the back of the book. You can take
yeah.
the assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to know. I love that. Hey, well, I want to talk about this though, because when I was thinking about interviewing you, of course, I love to like go out and do some research. I went on LinkedIn, and one of the things I noticed it says on your LinkedIn profile, it says that you are known for being compassionate. I can see that, approachable, but this is the one that caught my attention, and finding a way to get to yes. Talk about that. I mean, like, in HR, a lot of times we have moved a long ways, right? We have moved into these people leader, roles, but a lot of times, HR is a lot of times compliance is a big part of that. And
Mhm.
so, but you're saying finding a way to get to yes. And I know you talked a little bit about Corey earlier, and kind of helping through that. Talk about that. How do, like, for the listeners that often are, they feel like they have to say no. How do they like pause there to try to get to yes?
That's a great question. And again, that came from working with sales leaders. I think pushed me to think more outside of the box,
Mhm.
and be more creative. So, one example, is if you've got a candidate that you want to hire and that you're told, the top of the range is 50,000.
Mhm.
Then I would start a conversation like, "So, I mean, are we gonna lose this candidate for maybe
Mhm.
$5,000
Mhm.
because maybe we can do a sign-on bonus, or maybe we can give them an annual bonus, maybe we can accelerate the opportunity for, a review for a compensation increase." There's lots of creative ways that you can get to yes, and I think it just takes someone having the interest and the desire and being that true business partner, because at the end of the day, at least in my role, we're wanting to find the top talent, and so I'm not gonna let $5,000 get in the way of finding the right person for a role.
What I love about that too is that it's almost like you're setting the tone for the culture of your organization. Whenever you have your business unit partners, your managers out in the field coming to you, like they know that, hey, I'm not all of a sudden just going to get this hard stop. No, I have somebody that is willing to discuss the challenges and talk to understand the situation. I love that because I think many times when we get that block over and over and over, eventually we stop coming to it.
Right. Right, and that's the worst thing that I would say that I would want is if my managers and my leaders stop coming to me, then I
Hmm.
think that I haven't done my job because they should be coming to me. They should be calling me and reaching out and asking questions.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the keys too about, we talk about one of the keys to being a great leader is you got to build trust. And that's one of those ways you do that. Hey, you also shared something else, and that is you are a lifelong learner, which I can definitely see that, but you have the ability to unlock the hidden talent in team members, both personally and professionally. Share, like, talk about that for a second, like, and maybe share maybe uh, some tips on how our listeners might be able to better unlock talent, the potential in people.
I don't think that anybody wakes up and says, I think I'm going to do a bad job at work today. I think most people come to work wanting to do a good job, and contribute and add value in some way. So I believe in stretch assignments. I believe in giving
Mm.
people the opportunity to push themselves. Just like I was given opportunities, I want to give those same opportunities to people that I work with. And so that's where the strength finders comes into play. And then it's also just paying attention to people. If someone has a knack for technology, then a great project or something that they could do would be to look at how we can improve our processes or maybe automate them or streamline them. So I'm always looking for that person on my team that's really embraced technology.
I love that. Kelly Samantz was on the show, and she also talked about stretch assignments. I love how you brought that up. And I think that's also how, just for those that are listening, it's a way for people to also build brand, isn't it? Like if they take on stretch assignments and all of a sudden people in the organization, leadership in particular, looks at them a little bit differently and like, hey, look at them. They've taken on that stretch assignment. Well, let's see, how far they want to go. And I think that's a
Yeah,
great way, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my goodness. Hey, what drives you? Like you, I mean, I feel like you're a pretty driven leader.
I am. I am. I don't know. It's like I don't let grass grow underneath my feet. I can't just sit still. I'm always looking for the next thing. And sometimes I'm like, gosh, why do I have so much on my plate? But it's interesting. Sometimes the more that I have to do, the more organized I feel, if that makes
Oh,
sense. I might have a little touch of ADD. I'm not sure. I like to I like to stay busy, so I'm always looking for different projects or things to do.
I love that. The more I have, the more organized I feel. Oh my goodness. I will tell you, man, I have like a love-hate relationship with the more. Like I feel like a lot of times I just get so overwhelmed with so much stuff. But because I have some systems in place, it helps me like, okay, well, I don't have to be overwhelmed. I don't have to do it all at once. I can start like piecing it together. It, I'm curious, and I gave you some questions before we came on the show, but I'm curious, like, have you like developed a planning system for you? Like, I'm curious for your like your week. Do you start planning on the weekends? Do you plan each day, or how does that work for you? Because I'm sure you have a lot going on.
I like to build in focus time on my calendars. So I'll build that into my calendar because sometimes my calendar is not my own. Things will just be dropped on my calendar. And actually something that I've done, I'm gonna be giving away my secrets now, but
Oh, I love this.
I do I do block off the first half hour and the last half hour of the day.
Okay.
First, I just think that it's rude to schedule a meeting at the end of the day because people are getting ready to leave. So
Mm, mm.
I purposely block that time off and I use it so that I can start to prepare for the next day. And then I block it off at the beginning of the day because I use that to help line out uh my current day.
That's great. Focus
Yeah.
time. Write that down, folks. I love that. Now I know not to schedule a meeting with you at 8 a.m., Shannon.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. Hey, I think I might have mentioned this to you. I'm not sure, but I'm about to publish my next book called Drive with
Oh,
Purpose, and it's around significance. It's really about we all have these ways, different ways of having success. We've all experienced success in some way, but it's going beyond that. If someone said, "Hey, what's significance to you in the workplace?" How would you respond to that?
I would say that the significance would be to pay it forward. I
Mm,
have been blessed with so many opportunities and connections in my career that I really want to pay that forward to the next generation of leaders and those that are coming up in the industry and even the HR profession because I think it takes a village per se, and maybe they can make it better than I did.
Yeah. Well, do you see others? I mean, do you ever look around and go, "Golly, they're really leaning in significance." What are they doing whenever you see that? Do you have people in your path that you feel like is really driving a career of significance?
I do. I do. I think that it is the people who are volunteering. They're going above and
Mm,
beyond. They're looking for ways to make things better. They are
mm,
not waiting to be asked to do something. They see a need and then they jump in. And then I will be their biggest champion and cheerleader. Hey, did you see that project that so and so did?
mm.
They crushed it.
I'm glad you shared that. And the reason why is because there's a lot of volunteers out there, and a lot of times we don't realize the impact we are making, and sometimes we may not realize it ever. I know there's a lot of different people that have impacted my life that they don't know who they are, or whether they're an author or someone volunteering or someone I saw doing, putting money in a Salvation Army kettle,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of times when people think about significance, they think about, well, you have to be this, the CEO or an astronaut or the president or something big, when really significance is really just doing the little things for other people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's interesting that you say that because we do a tribes giving. All
Hmm.
of the people that work at the restaurant support office are a part of the tribe. So
Okay.
we did a tribes giving. And what I thought was significant about that was you never know what someone's going through during the holidays. And some
Okay.
people have people to spend time with and some people don't. And there were people that said they wouldn't have had a Thanksgiving meal had we not have had done that tribes giving. And so little things mean a lot.
Oh my goodness. I have chills. Oh, this is so good. I told you the time was going to fly as we got into this conversation. I would like to ask you a question around advice. I think that we've all been given advice during our career. Many times it's early in our career, sometimes it's within our family. Have you ever been given any advice that you just find it's so good that you find yourself sharing it with others?
I would say that that advice would be to stay humble
Hmm.
and you're never too good to be kind.
Mm. Stay humble, and you're never too good to be kind. Oh my goodness, Shannon, that is so good. I love that. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you so much. I want to shift over to another area. I call it, it's time to accelerate, as I ask you some fun questions as we kind of conclude the show. First and foremost, here we are, 2024. What are you looking to forward to in the year ahead?
I think I shared with you, but I'm looking forward to publishing a book later this year myself. I share with you my father passed from pancreatic cancer, and I am publishing a book to honor him.
I absolutely love that. I cannot wait till this. So how close are you? Have you written the manuscript yet, or are you in the process of doing that?
I have written the manuscript. I actually just uploaded it this weekend with the publisher. So
Oh my
close.
goodness. Are you kidding me? They say when you have a goal that you have a yeah, pretty good chance of hitting that goal if you write it down, right? You 40 to 50%. I've read different statistics. But when you tell people, it goes
Oh
up
yeah,
to like 80 to 90%.
oh yeah. Your word is bond.
Oh, so you're close. Like
I'm
you can see the finish line ahead. That is so good. I'm so excited for you. I want my signed copy. So when
yes,
the
of
time's right,
course.
I will definitely be ordering a copy of that. I'm so excited for you and how I mean, that to me, like that also is leaning into significance because basically you're sharing someone's story. I think that's part of significance, right?
I agree. Yeah, I was a daddy's girl. For sure. There's still times that I'm like, oh gosh, I can't wait to tell him. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, I am full right now. As we think about being full, what are you grateful for? In my last book, Life in the Leadership Lane, I talk about great leaders, are grateful leaders? Like what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for my children, my family, my dog, and my health. You know, health is wealth. So I'm very
Mm,
grateful for my health.
I read that one time in David Bach book. Your health is your wealth. I love that. Okay, so I can tell you're a very energized person. What energizes you?
I would say traveling. I
Mm,
love to travel. I
okay.
just went on my first cruise over Thanksgiving. It was amazing. And I've scheduled a trip for next year. I'm going to go to Greece. So I love to travel.
I love that. I took my first cruise in 2023 and we went to Alaska.
Nice.
And it was on my bucket list, and I'd never really had any desire to take a cruise. I just wanted to go to Alaska. But that was the way, we had my brother and his wife had invited us. It was great. I loved it. So
Did you
I'm
see the
sure we'll
whales?
probably do it again.
Did you see the whales?
We did. Yeah. Yeah. We
Nice.
saw the whales. Man, we saw everything except we were wanting to see bears, and we didn't really see any bears in
Huh.
Alaska. I mean, we saw a couple, but I mean, we were like wanting to see, like, I just envisioned like bears everywhere, scratching their backs on the tree, just everywhere. But no, it was great. It was right before salmon season, so they said the bears
Okay.
weren't out yet. But it was in May of last year. It was so good. And it's true. I mean, it was light 24 hours a day. It was crazy. Hey, I want to ask you this final question. One of my favorite questions. Shannon, 10 years older, she's knocking at your door and you're going to go answer the door. What's she going to tell you?
She's going to say, you survived 100% of all of your bad days. You stressed for nothing and it all worked out.
I love that. You survived your bad days. Man, I tell you, I saw I don't know, I guess you call it a meme, but it was a picture. And I'm curious if you've ever seen this, but it had, like, let's just say it had like 100 green dots in this pattern, in the square pattern. And in all those 100 green dots, there were like five red dots and just kind of sporadically out. So you wouldn't really see them if you're looking for them. And it basically said the red dots were a bad day and the green dots were a great life.
I
And
didn't know.
it was really focused on, many times we focus on that the failures, the bad day, the tough times, when we have all this good around us. And as
Right.
you think about that, that's what I was thinking about. Would you agree with that? A lot of times we just get so fixated on, oh man, rather than all the good that's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Um, because of that, I've started to do probably 5 years ago. I started a daily gratitude journal to think of 5 things every day that I'm grateful for. Because to your point, it's so easy to focus on the negative and the bad things, and I think we really need to train our minds not to do that.
I'm glad you shared that because I know that even in back in 2020, when all that we were having tough times during the pandemic, I remember many times when life felt heavy, I would start journaling, and it would, like, almost like it would almost like vanished.
Yeah.
You're like, because all of a sudden you start putting your mind on others, and that's, kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, significance. And so I appreciate you coming on the show today, and sharing your wisdom, your perspective. And this has been significant because I think you're going to help. Some of the things you shared today are going to help some others. Let me ask you, Shannon, if someone heard something today and, I don't know, they wanted to connect with you, they want to follow you, they want to learn more, is there a way that they can connect?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or they can find me in one of our restaurants.
Oh, I love that even more. I mean, Velvet Taco. Are you kidding me? As for Shannon, I love that. This has been so good. I appreciate you coming on. I cannot wait to read your book and
Oh,
call
you're so
you an author and all the exciting things are ahead. And by the way, if you're listening right now, Shannon's got a smile a mile wide. It's awesome, energizing. You're phenomenal, and I appreciate your friendship so much. Thanks for coming on the show, Shannon.
Thanks for having me, Bruce. It was fun.
I can't wait to share this. Hey, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.